Hey guys, I'm here with 5 more creepy doll stories from Reddit. Let's begin. Number 5, the doll in the attic. This happened last year. I had just moved into an older home that had a few rooms I never used. While cleaning out the attic, I came across a rocking chair and a doll sitting in it. I honestly thought nothing of it except that the doll was a bit creepy. I figured it was just a dusty old doll in my attic. That is until a few nights later. I was digging through boxes trying to find something when I heard a noise that sounded like someone clearing their throat. I shrugged it off and continued searching. I don't remember what I was looking for, but I finally found it and started to walk out of the attic. As I walked past the rocking chair, I could have sworn it rocked slightly. I thought to myself, old house settling, right? But then I noticed the doll. That didn't make sense. I hadn't touched it. Last thing I remembered, it was sitting perfectly still. Now it was facing away from me as if it had been watching me the entire time. Of course, I freaked out and ran out of the attic. I never went back up there, not even during the day. Every time I tried, a wave of panic would wash over me and I would turn around and run back downstairs. I don't know how much longer I can stay here, but I know one thing. That doll is waiting. Always waiting. 4. The doll in the mirror. This happened when I was around 10 years old. I was brushing my hair while staring at myself in the mirror. I noticed the antique doll across the room mimicking my every move. She was a porcelain doll with long flowing locks of yarn for hair. Her dress was filthy and her eyes were black and empty. I quickly spun around, but she froze. When I turned back to the mirror, she kept moving. I yelled for my mom, but before she could come to the door, it slammed shut. Then I heard chains dragging metal moans. I turned back to the mirror. The doll was now on the floor with a long black chain wrapped around her neck. Her head flopped forward and her eyes glowed a bright red. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Terrified, I ran from the room. That's when my mom burst in and asked what was wrong. I told her about the doll and she laughed. But when we went to the room, the door was locked and the doll was gone. Now, whenever I see a doll watching me, I don't dare look away. Number 3, whispering doll. This has been happening for years. I keep hearing whispers. At first, I thought it was my family members or the people living above me. But I live alone. There are no other people in my apartment. I work from home now, so I spend all day by myself. Sometimes I hear multiple voices at once. Other times I hear my name. Most recently, someone keeps calling me by a name that isn't mine. It's always late at night. And since I work nights, most days I fall asleep around 7 a.m. One morning, though, I stayed awake until noon. The voices started around 9 a.m. My 11, I was frantic. I couldn't take it anymore. So I got up, went to the source of the whispers, and destroyed the thing that's been haunting me for years. I didn't want to throw it away because I knew whoever did find it would eventually destroy it anyway. So I cut off its head and threw it on the floor. It took all the strength I had not to scream. Finally, it was quiet. After it was dark, I went to sleep. I dreamed of a little girl whose name was Name Removed. She was crying and kept saying, "Why won't you let me in?" I woke up around 6 a.m. and as I do every morning, I went to the corner of my room to check on the whispering doll. It was standing on the shelf. Instead of being on the floor or under my bed, it smiled and whispered, "You shouldn't be here." It slid off the shelf and onto my bed. I don't know who it is or what it wants me to be, but I fear it's already decided. Number 2, the doll that moves. Yesterday, I was doing some spring cleaning and put an old trunk in the basement. I didn't open it, just dragged it down the stairs and into the basement. I didn't think anything of it until hours later when I needed to get something from the trunk. When I opened it up, there was my antique doll that I haven't seen in almost 10 years. I knew exactly where I left it, too. I distinctly remember packing it up and putting it in the trunk with my other childhood things. I've always loved that doll, and I brought it everywhere when I was young. I stopped taking it with me after high school, but I didn't pack it away. I remember packing it up for our move and placing it in the same spot, but yesterday it was gone. I checked the spare room where we keep extra stuff, and it wasn't there. I checked under the beds, inside the closets, and even looked in between the curtains. I was stumped. It's weird because I was sure I left it on the couch when I packed it up. When I was younger, it would always end up on the couch, even if I left it anywhere else. I would swear it would be on the couch. I have no idea why, but it always ended up there. When I moved into my new place, I put it on the couch. But yesterday, it was in my bedroom. I put it on the dresser, and then it was in my car. But how? How did it get there? No one else knows about it. I live alone. I don't allow anyone in my house, and I certainly didn't bring it with me. There it was, staring at me from the passenger seat. I got freaked out and drove home. When I parked in the garage and turned off the car, I noticed it hanging from the rearview mirror, grinning at me. I screamed and ripped it out of the mirror. No matter where I go, it's already there, waiting, always waiting. And finally, number 1, the doll that knew. I was around 10 years old and playing video games in my room. I was beating the ever-living crap out of a guy in Street Fighter. I heard my doll say, "Dalton, come here." Puzzled, I turned my head and asked, "Did you say something?" There was no reply. I turned back to my game and tried to focus on beating the crap out of another guy. A minute passed and it spoke again, louder this time. "Dalton, come here." Again, there was no reply. I turned around to see if one of my brothers was messing with me. They weren't in my room. I turned back to my game frustrated. I wasn't going to let some stupid doll make me lose my game. A few seconds passed and I heard it say, "Dalton." Just as I was about to tell it off, it mimicked the character on my screen. It said, "Dalton, come here," in a perfect imitation of Ken Masters' Confused. I stood up from my desk and walked over to the doll. It wasn't in the corner of my room where I usually kept it. It was standing on my desk where I kept all my school stuff. I reached out a hand to pick it up and it said, "Come here, Dalton," in the exact voice of my older brother. He would always imitate that character, and he would always mess with me while I was playing that game. It kept saying, "Come here, Dalton," and it sounded exactly like him. I remember turning around just in time to see his face as he walked by and mouthed, "Oops." I don't know if it's alive, but I know it's sentient, and I'm terrified of what it wants next. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Until next time.